the time to join us. I'm going to firstly introduce those presenters on the call today. So I'm joined today by Bridget Manfield from Microsoft. Bridget is a go-to-market manager for Microsoft 365 and Teams. And we're also joined by Jérôme André Delaporte from the voice of O365 as one of our trusted vendor partners, specializing in Teams voice and direct routing, and very much an expert in the voice world. And we're all here to help you, and we do welcome interaction on these sessions, so please feel free to take yourselves off mute or ask questions as we go along. We want to make sure that you get a lot out of this session, so please don't hesitate to ask questions. If you don't feel you can take yourself off mute, that's absolutely fine. You can ask questions in the chat. We'll be monitoring that as well as we go along, so we can answer questions live if you want to post them in the chat too. So this is the leadership session, and that forms part of the Microsoft practice builders that we run for our partners. These are aimed at business decision makers, business leaders, to help you understand the market opportunity and the business opportunity for your chosen Microsoft practice. We run 3 different practice builders at the moment, one being Microsoft Security, one being hybrid work, and today's session, which is unified communications and collaboration. It's important to note here that Microsoft now refer to UC&C as converged communications. So today we want to help you understand about the market dynamics around converged communications or unified communications and collaboration, and then guide you through the process of building out your Microsoft practice. So kicking off with my section, first of all, I'm going to take you through the market dynamics so you can understand why this is a really important topic area. But I want to sort of clarify first what we mean by being more than just a reseller. So many of our CSP partners sell Microsoft licensing naturally as a CSP partner. They provide some break-fix support, but in general, their business is very much reactive, driven by customer demand, rather than being more proactive and actually being their customer's trusted advisor and actually proactively going in and driving new solutions and services into their customer base. Now, when we look at the reseller community, and we look at studies that have been done by independent sources, whether that's Gartner, Forrester, IDC, we see from the results that they've produced that 64% of partner revenue is generated through non-resell activities. So what does that mean? It's generated not from the license sale, for example, or the product sale, but it's actually generated from services. So we want to help our partners develop out their services proposition in their chosen area of cloud. Now, partner earnings from cloud is expected to double over the next 2 years, from 26% to 59% of all revenue. So, it's really important to look at your sales very closely and look at where your revenues are coming from. But we see that those partners that do more than just selling a license are growing typically a lot faster. Research has also shown that there are 73% of companies out there that are looking to develop their own IP. So that's a really interesting opportunity for partners to work with those customers, whether that's building an Azure environment or utilizing the modern work solution stack more effectively to build out solutions and services that will meet that requirement. So as a CSP partner, you've got lots of competition in the market. Certainly in the UK market, there are a lot of CSP resellers out there. 80% of those resellers are typically very much transactional, or we term them as transactional, which means that they sell the products, and that's very much driven by customer demand. And they may provide an element of break-fix services as well, but that's probably about as far as it goes. The remaining top 20% of partners are the ones that are the fastest growing, and we see those actually being the most profitable. And that's because they're not reactive to customer demand, but rather more proactive, which means that they're actively engaging with their customers on a regular basis, driving in new solutions and services, upgrading them to higher SKUs, for example. And we see that typically they grow 3 times faster. And that's why we've developed our practice builders to help partners move beyond the license sale and actually drive services as well. Oh, it's not working. There we go. So, in order to break away from being a transactional partner, you've got to take a really close look at yourselves and what is your customer proposition. Now, there's an awful lot you can do within the Microsoft solution stack. There's lots of services and solutions that are out there. So you need to look at what makes you special. What do you do really, really well? Perhaps what you don't do so well. And then focus on your strengths and have a real business outcome in mind. So consider what kind of customers you want to go after and what kind of solutions you want to be specialized in so you can take those solutions out to your customers. Now, we've also developed a partner tool, which we will take you through in a separate session once you've completed the course, which will help you on your practice builder journey to assess, plan and build out your Microsoft practice. So that will be a separate session. You'll get an invite for that one. Now, building your practice is going to take some effort, but as we've outlined in the opportunity here, the rewards can really pay off. So it's worth taking that time to do that assessment of your business and looking at where your strengths are. You need to decide what this looks like for you, which sectors you're going to focus on, and how you're going to develop a solution and services stack to support that. But assessing and planning is critical here to ensure success. Now, looking at the partner opportunity and focusing now for the reason we're all here today, which is unified communications and collaboration, or as Microsoft now term it, converged communications. So we look at telephony, and historically telephony has been on-prem, and it's been very much separate to the IT infrastructure. So your telephony people have been very different to the IT services people. And, it's always been very much independent. It's not integrated with other systems, which can make it very challenging for businesses. Now, the alternative is looking at cloud-based telephony. Now, cloud-based telephony is very much in the IT service provider space because now it's integrated with other line of business applications. But a catch when it comes to cloud is that customers often have various different cloud applications from multiple vendors, and this provides a challenge to you as IT services providers to manage, support and maintain those various different solutions and applications. There's a lot of complexity both for you as a reseller, but also for your customer, because it leads to complexity which adds cost. Now, standardizing on one fully comprehensive solution, for example, Microsoft 365, will take away the complexity and provide customers with a seamless and very familiar environment that they're used to using. Now, Gartner, Forrester, IDC, they're all very good at providing us with statistics and data. Now, when we look at the Forrester study here, you can see that they went out to over 20,000 what they term as purchase influencers, and to understand which IT initiatives they're prioritizing over the next 12 months. Now, from the responders, we see that they are looking to meet the demands of their workforce. Now, 40% of the workforce, 47% of the workforce have transitioned since COVID to being full-time remote working. And demand for remote work is now leading to anticipation. So 48% of responders anticipate a permanently higher rate of remote employees. Now, remote work or hybrid work all need IT solutions and services that work effectively and efficiently wherever that person happens to be working. And this is actually driving demand for innovation and therefore investment in IT services that providers or solutions resellers like yourselves need to meet, and you need to develop skills, etc., in order to meet that demand. So modernizing your telephony and bringing new collaboration and interaction services to your customers is a way of reducing those costs. I mean, when you look at the costs that end customers have today when it comes to traditional telephony, they've got quite high costs when it comes to leasing, device costs. You know, it doesn't support working from anywhere. So if you develop a cloud solution or a cloud services proposition for telephony, you can actually reduce costs for those leasing the devices, minimizing travel, but also reducing network costs. And it also provides your customers with an enhanced way to communicate and collaborate using a single platform. And you no longer need to maintain expensive PBXs. So, you know, we're not going to go through all of these stats, but again, Forrester have done a lot of studies on this one, and this particular slide refers to a study they did very specifically on Teams Phone. And you can see some really useful stats there. And we can share this with you afterwards so you can see those stats in more detail. Now, there's also independent research on the cloud telephony opportunity for the UK market. And there are 2.4 million SMBs in the UK that are still using traditional telephony. So they haven't moved to SIP-based telephony yet. So that's a massive market opportunity. And that's SMB. That's very much where you guys sit. So, you know, you need to look at how you're going to build out your cloud proposition and then how you're going to take that message to your customers. Because in 2025, the UK are going to turn off the PSTN network. So now is a great time to start having those conversations with your customers and guiding them through to a cloud-based telephony solution. And of course, we are here to help you, both Tech Data and Microsoft and Jérôme from the Voice of O365 are here to help you on this journey. We can help you with obviously knowledge, support with customer conversations. We've got all the skills and experience to be able to guide you through delivering a successful outcome for your customers. So please talk to us and work with us to help you build out your propositions. So in terms of...
Sorry, I have one little thing to add. In 2025, the PSTN network is not going to be switched off. It's ISDN 2, ISDN 15, and ISDN 30 that are going to be switched off.
Okay. I was reading the study and it said PSTN, but okay.
Sorry,
maybe that's changed. That's fine. As I said in the beginning, Jérôme is one of our resident experts when it comes to telephony solutions. So thank you, Jérôme.
You're welcome.
So in terms of this course, it is actually part of a series. We start obviously with this session being the leadership session, but the next sessions are sales, and then we've got technical sessions. Now the technical sessions are the only ones that are in person, and we run one in the north and one in the south, and you've got the dates there in front of you on this slide. And then, of course, there are marketing sessions to choose from. Now, you can attend all three if you want, or you can pick the session that you think is most applicable to your organization based on your maturity from a marketing standpoint. So just consider which one's best. If you aren't sure, please talk to us and we'll help you understand which one might be best for you. We do ask that you send at least one person to attend each of these sessions, because this isn't just a webinar that you attend and then go off and leave behind. It's actually part of a course that we are encouraging you to participate fully in so that you can get the most out of it. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Bridget, who's going to take you through converged communications, as Microsoft now call it, and Teams telephony.
Thanks, Debs. Can I just confirm you can see the screen, first of all? You can see the slides?
Yep.
Lovely. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Bridget Mansfield, Go-to-Market Manager, as Deb said, in the Modern Work Business Group for Microsoft UK. So I focus on all things Teams, Teams Rooms and Teams Phone. So our unified communication solutions, aka now converged communications, as was quite rightly pointed out to you with a recent rebrand. So let's get into it. So in our modern work department, it's of course all about helping businesses future-proof themselves to stay ahead of the curve. and we often talk to our customers about strategies for reopening their offices and welcoming employees back in person. But I'm sure you'll agree that most workplaces look dramatically different today, even from a couple of years ago. And we know that today's workers continue to prioritise relationships, inclusion, well-being as key factors for hybrid work success, whether that's collaborating with those outside your organisation, or business leaders embracing that hybrid flexibility that you'll hear that word a lot as I go through, to meet the expectations that people have for the workplace. So it's fair to say the pandemic has permanently changed business culture and trends across every industry, every country, and most of those changes are here to stay. So today we're going to share with you how Microsoft Teams is uniquely positioned to enable and empower this continued transformation and to help businesses adapt to the future of hybrid work. Specifically, we're obviously going to take a look at the UCaaS solutions, major areas of investment that's been influencing how Microsoft Teams, along with its products, devices, services, will all evolve over the next year. So it's a fact that people want hybrid work, but everyone has different wants and needs. So it's now a question of how can organisations make hybrid work better for business leaders and employees? And this is a very hot off the press new work trend index. We have it every year. It was literally released, well, last month, so a week ago, if that, to understand how expectations and attitudes about work have transformed over the past years. The key findings, if you see in the top right here, are end productivity paranoia. So leaders are worried that their employees are not being as productive as they could be. So we were mentioning before we started having those back-to-back Teams meetings. Sometimes people have them with no break. That can obviously affect how you work, or working too many hours when you're working from home. It's hard to switch off. The second one, embrace the fact that people come into work for each other. So I think we all have experienced how certain meetings can definitely have better results when you're face-to-face in person, or at least with a video on and in some sort of hybrid environment. Definitely leads to better business results and actually just general well-being. And then re-recruit your employees. So we introduced a new worth it equation last year for why go into office. And now we've discovered that more staff are choosing to work for companies that have flexible working policies and opportunities for career development. So please take time to read the new work trend index. The link is just in there, and you can reference loads of new statistics and insights during your sales or leadership conversations. So we at Microsoft have realised that in order to succeed at work, a digital fabric is needed. Now, I actually love this kind of phrase and visual because it really helps us to see how organisations need to bind everything together with secure communication and collaboration in order to thrive in this new hybrid world. So having a strong digital fabric enables that flexibility and strengthens the human connection though behind all of the tech. It connects everyone to the organisation's mission and culture, and it weaves data, automation, AI into the flow of work. It extends also to outside partners and customers and includes all types of workers, from information and frontline, every business function, so HR to sales, marketing, and so on. It's a complete competitive advantage, and Microsoft Cloud is enabling organisations to weave their own digital fabric. And at the centre of this is, of course, Microsoft Teams. The Teams, well, I may be biased, but it's the most intuitive way to meet, collaborate, create and automate key tasks where content and additional apps and tools are always available to help customers just accomplish more to support the future of their business. Another stat for you, business leaders are finding that their organisations thrive with teams, and according to Morgan Stanley, the CIO report, Teams continues to solidify their position as the go-to workspace collaboration solution. And 53% of the organisations today are already standardised on Teams, and 67% are expected to be in the next 3 years. And the Teams active users has seen incredible growth over the past few years, with over 270 million daily active users. That's 20 times growth since 2019. And Microsoft is the only vendor positioned as highest in ability to execute in both UCaaS Magic Quadrant and Meetings and Solutions Magic Quadrant, and it continues to validate our leadership in this space. And the cloud is moving extremely fast with product innovation, which we've delivered at an incredible pace. Over 300 new capabilities have launched across chat, collaboration, meetings, and calling. That's now live. And then there's over 400 more dropping in over the next 12 months. Do check the Microsoft 365 roadmap. I can drop the link in the chat if you don't have that later. So the goal is obviously to rethink how we go to work, and for many, going to work now means going to Teams. I mentioned the amount of active users earlier, and we know that attending meetings is more than just showing up on time. Participants need to be prepared with questions, ideas, and a plan, and actively participate. So Teams helps make every meeting matter, especially in our hybrid world. And with that in mind, let me get into some of the newer Teams features at the moment or that's coming soon. This is actually one of my favourite updates. So Cameo in PowerPoint enables you to be part of the story in a presentation, customizing how and where exactly you appear on the slides, and offers a different layout. It offers you recommendations for just really more professional viewing. It looks like it's been done by a recording studio. When you're actually recording the so that was the live meeting. When you're actually recording presentations, if that's part of how you share some learning with customers, for many, the actual logistics of that can be a bit more stressful than the process of actually creating it. So PowerPoint's new recording studio just gives you that really enhanced recording experience and loads more options when you're recording a presentation. When it's time to present, if you did want to go live, you just click the PowerPoint Live button, and that can be done on any device, including your mobile. Language interpretation that's just come out. If you're joining a Teams meeting and it isn't held in your first language, interpreter converts what the speaker says into the language that you prefer in real time, without disrupting any of the flow of delivery of speech, making it just completely accessible. Whiteboard has had major upgrades. I love this one as well, in Microsoft Teams, and it's a tool that just really accelerates virtual collaboration. I love it because it's like the virtual version of brainstorming in a boardroom with your team. It's really inclusive, it's fun to use as well, but it also helps to solve business tasks quickly as a team. And you can see the collaboration cursors allow you to see the name of the person contributing, which is cool. And if you do this with your camera on, it obviously gives you a much more immersive experience. Chat and collaboration is a huge part of making hybrid work successful. So let's get further into some of these details and features. Many of you, I'm sure, are completely aware of Teams Chat, and Microsoft takes it to the next level with GIFs and over 800 new 3D emojis to express yourself more authentically, or just let a reaction speak volumes. It really saves time sometimes just doing a quick emoji or reaction. And I would advise having a look through the library to see some more additions that hopefully have dropped in, or if you can't see it straight away, it will be coming in soon. Teams Connect. So Teams Connect is helping you connect safer with external users. So this is the new shared channels feature, which lets you access Microsoft Teams with people outside of your organization, giving them access to your chat windows, video and voice. IT can obviously control how external users access the data and information. So enabling external users to share channels directly in your Teams environment might help strengthen your relationships with your own partners and customers and get answers faster by utilizing features such as the co-authoring of documents together in the same channel and with any external stakeholder. And speaking of co-authoring files, obviously seeing people on camera and speaking to them while you're live editing or just having the document up on the screen in front of you, whether you're in PowerPoint, Word, Excel, or any of the other classic Office apps, is so productive. By the way, Excel Live is coming soon. So similar to PowerPoint Live, which I mentioned earlier, you'll soon be able to present an Excel spreadsheet directly into Teams. So keep an eye out for that. Teams, in the form of Teams Essentials, which is our entry SKU, can also work on top of whatever email customers are already using. So a common example we are seeing is this used alongside Google's Gmail. And here I've done a real world screen grab of calendar invite inside Gmail with a Teams link shown just there to join the meeting. So attendees, if attendees are using Gmail, they now have a join capability, which will take them straight to Teams to join the call. And then Teams supports full third-party integrations, thousands of them, thousands of app integrations, meaning that you now have an easy entry point to deliver customized experiences on top of the Teams platform. Using apps in Teams enables real-time interaction, specifically for our unified communications or converged comms. Our CRM app integrations play a vital role for our customers' business success. And the right tech for the office must be connected by design to a robust workplace platform like Microsoft Teams. Now let's take a look at what we've done with the immersive environments for Teams that's inclusive for everyone. Introducing Microsoft Teams Rooms. Before we get into that though, let me show you an update via Outlook. So obviously in the hybrid workspace, we can now take meetings anywhere, online, in person, or both with Teams Rooms. So with our new Outlook RSVP options, you'll be able to note in your meeting RSVP whether you plan to join in person or virtually. And the Outlook response tracker makes it easy to see who's attending and how they're attending. So Teams Rooms are designed to include everyone in the meeting, not just those in the conference room. The technology uses both video and that spatial audio to give remote attendees a seat at the table with the front row feature. So everyone can sit face to face, whether they are present or in person. Sorry, whether they are in person or virtual. Studies tell us that out of the 90 million meeting rooms, only 8% have the appropriate inclusive equipment available. I think many of us have witnessed unsuccessful hybrid meetings, shall I say, like when you are working from home and you might not be able to hear anyone in the physical boardroom, for example, or you just hear noises, or someone could be in the office and you see them holding up their mobile phone on speaker for someone else who can't make it in. So Teams Rooms enables the best of in-person and remote meetings, making it completely inclusive. There's no cables to mess about with, so you can join easily with one click. And with great interoperability, there's devices available for every type of room and any shared space. Teams Rooms also has the flexibility to join those occasional meetings from other meeting providers. This is a great update from our new licenses. So the direct guest join capability allows people to join Cisco WebEx and Zoom meetings from within a Microsoft Teams room using an embedded web experience. Debs, could you tell us more about how Tech Data are enabling meeting rooms?
Yeah, certainly. So we have our Maverick team. It's a specialist team within Tech Data that specialize in Teams room systems. And they have a services proposition around that, which includes installation, planning, or obviously planning in advance of that, and networking capability as well. And they also have the ability to take the devices. So Teams room systems can be quite pricey. But if you want to spread that cost over a certain period of time, a year, 2 years, 3 years beyond, then they can also wrap that device up as a service using our Tech Data financing solution. And therefore you can spread the cost for your customers as well. Now, additionally to that, if your customers have existing kit that they're using in their meeting room that isn't perhaps Teams compatible, but they want to go to Teams, then we have Tech Data Renew, which means that we can look at buying back existing kit, releasing any remaining equity in that, which they can then put forward to the new kit. So lots of things that we have as part of the package from Maverick to help reduce that barrier to sell for you.
Lovely stuff, thank you. I had to talk about Mesh. So the metaverse is here. Mesh is a virtual reality space in which users can interact with a computer-generated environment and other users. And this is done using our HoloLens, the virtual headsets. Mesh for Teams can help create more interactive connections virtually. I've seen at the moment doctors testing them out for operations in different countries. Someone's in America, someone's in China. It's crazy what's being done at the moment. It actually reminds me of Star Wars and the holograms that they use for virtual communications. Just something I could never think of being a reality when I was younger. The immersive spaces integrate with all the Office apps and can take content collaboration to the next level. Well, it's the future. The future is here. And for those who don't have the expensive VR headset, Mesh for Teams is bringing a new meeting experience for meetings like right now, which will enable users to collaborate with personalized avatars. I actually have mine now on beta. I don't want to risk showing you in case something happens, but it is very cool. So your avatar will mimic your facial cues and body language, like when you're just speaking on a Teams meeting. Now, this is so good for, I think we were talking at the beginning, people with camera on and camera off. So obviously at the moment, there's two options. Camera on, the camera on experience with meetings back to back can be extremely draining by the end of the day, as I'm sure you've realized. At certain times, and then having your camera off the whole day, you know, when you're just the circle, it might not be the best experience for those listening to your presentation or for the audience side. So having the avatar can help with both of those things and just general well-being, as well as just being generally really cool. Mesh can also be used for when you're on your mobile, and let's go nicely into Teams Phone. Obviously, Teams Phone is our cloud PBX that enables you to leverage your Teams platform as an entire business phone system. Before we dive further into that, though, let's first take a look at the urgency of digital telephony in the UK today. So Debs and Jerome were right. We have a PSTN and ISDN switch off happening in 2025. I'm actually interviewing one of the someone from BT this Friday to talk about that in a bit more detail. If you haven't heard about this, in 2025, BT are switching off, well, it's the Public Switch Telephone Network and Integrated Services Digital Network. These are just industry abbreviations for the traditional phone networks we've used literally since the 1800s, so non-digital calling. Openreach actually announced this way back in 2018, and you can see there's numerous milestones planned to keep this switch off on time. The target is in 2025 is for every phone line in the UK to be digital. This will affect all residential and business customers, and it aligns with the UK government's promise to see 15 million premises connected to full fibre by 2025. So a lot of it is UK specific, and I would 100% recommend reading up on this to be able to talk about it fluently with customers if you're not familiar, and you'll be able to see how that fits into planning your customers' modern calling solutions. Just to give you some quick market insights on the cloud telephony for Teams, it's just hit a milestone of 12 million active PSTN users. So that's 12 million who've upgraded from the old copper landline phones with the help of different solutions. So this shows that there is complete demand at the moment, and with the help of our certified partners such as Tech Data, we've been able to help businesses all over the world. So what does Teams Phone actually provide? Well, it integrates calls seamlessly into the flow of work. It meets business needs with unified, classic and modern calling features. It optimizes IT resources with streamlined setup and management via the Teams Admin Center, and it provides users with flexible, budget-conscious devices. So when we talk about the ability to integrate calls into the flow of work, an example is when you can start a phone call very quickly from a Teams chat. I love just doing that if, you know, when you're messaging someone and it's just taken so long, you just quickly call them and you can get an answer so much quicker at times. You can call someone very quickly just from your call history, or even from an Outlook email, actually. We often refer to this as management from a single pane of glass, because the fluidity and ease of running your business is all just right there in front of you. You can also collaborate in Microsoft 365 apps or Teams Essentials directly from calls and meetings together. And you can obviously leverage the full suite of calling features from any device and any location. So the new modern calling experience looks at what you have in, what customers have in their existing phone system, but then improves that experience with things like live captions and transcriptions. It optimizes the customer experience that you can provide your own customers with features like consultative transfers, music on hold, and voicemail transcription. This is really great, actually, if you receive a voicemail and you're not in a position to be able to listen to it right there and then. You can just read it as a text message. It also offers auto attendance, which allows you to set up menu options for your incoming calls. So, you know, when you call up and you hear things like for sales, press 1, and so on, it puts them into call queues to those specific departments. Or with our accessibility features, you can actually just say the word sales or services or whatever it is instead of physically pressing a button. Call transfer. Oh, this is so useful if you need to leave the house or office while you're staying on a call. You can just transfer the Teams meeting or call to your mobile. Just put in your headphones and off you go. You can even now transfer the call to your car via Apple CarPlay. Oh, diving deeper into one of our popular calling updates, we have something called voice-enabled channels, which enables users to connect those call queues I just mentioned directly into specific Teams channels. Now, this was a bit of a game changer for areas that have a support team and similar. So users can collaborate and share information within the channel while taking calls in the queue. So if you look at this example here, you can see the company Northwind Traders have their own support channel. So everything you see here is the whole team, the whole support team. So whenever someone gets fast tracked to support, the phone call only goes to this channel. It doesn't bother any of the other teams. And you can see they've got their own individual dial pads. You can see who's online and who's not. And if you go to post, you'll be able to see, everyone will be able to see what tickets are being served and so on. It's a really great feature. And another feature you can use in Teams Phone is assigning which caller ID that you choose. So editing the caller ID policies in the Teams Admin Center. So this will allow you to any user to select which number they want to use in an outgoing call. So if you look here, you can see that I can make the choice of calling just from my business number or two other options. Shifts in Microsoft Teams, so that's an app that you download, and it's a scheduled management tool that helps you create, update and manage schedules with your teams. So it's just perfect for frontline workers. And if anyone wants to swap shifts or make a change, it updates very quickly and live. So they're just some of the newer features that either have landed or are coming to Teams. So following that, our UCAS solutions obviously have a lot of innovation, a lot of growth, but what is the business value? Well, potential cost savings can vary depending on customer business size, deployment schedule, cloud adoption maturity, and just a number of other variables. But better voice communications due to, oh, let me go back. Sorry. Due to the communication, better voice communications due to the capabilities that you see in all of our UCAS solutions increases employee productivity, and it enables a highly mobile workforce, allowing you to save on your physical overhead costs, like Debs was mentioning earlier. In this example, we can see benefits of £144,000 over 3 years. So that works out at 2.9 thousand per user. And this results in a 411% return on investment with a 6-month payback period. Now we're on to this one. So there's a few options to get started. You can choose Microsoft Teams Phone with our calling plan, which comes with 3,000 domestic calling minutes, or a Teams Phone option with calling plan through a third party, which you're going to hear much more about with Jerome after the break, or through Operator Connect, which sits between the two. All of these options have great benefits and all have the latest. And to get all the latest information, make sure you just speak to your Microsoft partner at Tech Data for advice. And with that, I will hand back over to Debs.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Let's share my screen again now, don't I? So welcome to those two that just joined as well. You've missed quite a bit, but this is being recorded, so we'll share what you've missed with you. I'll put it to the vote, given that we've only been going for 50 minutes. We could move to a quick comfort break, or we can crack on. I asked the question to the group. Do you want a quick comfort break, or would you like to crack on?
Hands up in the reactions for comfort break. Okay, we've got a request for comfort break. Okay, we'll take, should we take 5 minutes and have a quick comfort break, and then I'll hand back to Jerome. Let's do it.
Music stuff.
Debs, you're still sharing screen, just FYI.
I am, yes.
I can see emails.
Oh, well, apologies. That's a good shout. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh dear. Thought I'd take 2 minutes. Jerome, did you want to share your screen, or would you like just for me to drive and you just say next slide, please?
I can pick the slides up very quickly from here. So hold on a second.
Okay.
Let me go to documents. Tech data. Stream 1. We go to Teams direct routing. Great British Pounds. So and if I share my screen, and I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. Hold on a second. I say share, and I do it like this. Then that should do the trick with
Let's see your
everything.
slides.
Yeah.
With everything staying in place. Yeah. Yeah. I was pleased to have a comfort break.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad. I could tell from the look on your face. You're like, yes, thank God.
Oh.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's 5:02. We've got 3 people with cameras on. Those of you without cameras on, if you want to put your cameras back on, you are more than welcome. We shall kick off.
Absolutely great. Thank you very much. My name is Jeroen André Delaporte. I work for a company called SoftApp, and SoftApp is an international cloud service provider with a Teams telephony competence. We've been asked to speak to you, and we have been asked to speak to you about basically turning Microsoft 365 into a fully fledged PBX in the cloud. And to be honest, that is the métier, as we say in French, that SoftApp is going for. So we are literally experts if it comes to Teams telephony. What we did is we created a cloud service, and the cloud service is called the Voice of O365. And the Voice of O365 enables or gives you the ability to turn Microsoft 365 into a fully fledged PBX on your customer's side. Why are we sold? Now, I think we've heard many reasons from Debs and from Bridget why Teams is so successful out there. One of them, of course, is COVID-19. And if we look at the world market, we all had a period in time where we needed to work from home. Just to give you a little bit of background, as soon as that happened, we saw on an international basis the sales of our solution going up very, very quickly. The second reason why Teams is being used as fully fledged PBX, because Teams, and this is what was explained just now, is a true collaboration tool. And yes, you have the ability to make or to have a video conference, to speak, to chat, to share, to work together in one document. And it is, yeah, Teams is a solution out there which, at least from our side, we consider it to be extremely modern and up to date. The service that we offer has a number of advantages, and one of the advantages is that we are telco independent, or that we are SIP trunk independent. Why? That is simple. If your customer is still in an agreement, or you have chosen a particular SIP trunk supplier, then we, Microsoft, Tech Data and SoftApp, don't see any reason why your customer should say goodbye to that vendor. The second item is we have created a unique self-service portal, which basically gives you the ability of full control over the telephony instance. And last but not least, we are what you call we have no contractual obligation. And with that, we of course mean that you need to pay for the actual license. But if your customer decides to stop, then she can actually do so painlessly at this, as we call it. The next slide is a slide which was partly covered and has all to do with, why am I not able of going to the next slide? Yeah, here we are. It's all to do with how Microsoft views Teams telephony. No, I am for some reason on a slow internet connection. I'm sorry about that. What you see here is how, let's say, Microsoft views Microsoft Teams. And a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, she actually called it business calling reinvented. And I think this is an absolutely wonderful slide, because it gives you a good feeling for how it was on one end and what it looks like now today. And in my belief, Microsoft has done her utmost to actually service us in a wonderful and very specific manner, which is good. If we look at it, or if we look at Microsoft telephony from a licensing perspective, then it basically works as follows. Your customer is using Microsoft 365. Part of that 365 offering is Microsoft Teams. If your customer decides to turn Microsoft 365 into a fully fledged PBX, wants to make sure that Microsoft is the PBX on-premise, between brackets, you need to invest in a license. And the license is called the Teams. I can't read my own slide.
Teams Phone Standard.
Thank you very much. The Teams Phone Standard license. It is the Teams Phone Standard license which literally turns the actual client of your end customer, the Teams client of your end customer, into a fully fledged PBX. Once you've done that, you have, and you saw that with Bridget, you basically have three choices. And Two of those choices are listed here. So I haven't listed Operator Connect, but the first choice you have is to invest into the Microsoft calling plan. If your end customer does that, in our world, we say the customer is going all in Microsoft. If the customer wants to retain her SIP trunks, or if you want to offer your customer a different brand, then we come into the arena of what we call direct routing. And direct routing literally means that you take a SIP trunk of a not being Microsoft and connect that to the tenant of your customer. We, SoftApp, with our brand, the voice of 0365, are a Teams direct routing specialist. Now, as soon as you have activated the Teams license, imagine that and Bridget showed this too, is that the dial pad will appear into the actual client of the end customer. And from here, they're able to make and receive calls very, very quickly. You can see that on the right-hand side, I have created groups. So if I want to speak to people very quickly, I can actually do so. We spoke about voicemails. You can see up here that the actual voicemails are listed, and as soon as a voicemail comes in, you will see on your right hand side that the actual translation of that voicemail is actually given to you, not only in Teams but also in your Outlook. If we talk about devices used, at the bottom, you can actually see that I am using a Plantronics device at this present point in time. And the beauty of the beast is that with Microsoft Teams, every single headset every single headset is actually supported. We spoke about call queues very, very briefly. Here you can see that I am a member of a certain call queue. So the beauty is I have one pane of glass, as was said earlier, and with that one pane of glass, I can also make and receive calls. Now, how does that actually function? First of all, you see a schematic drawing. In the middle is the voice of 0365, and imagine that we have multiple immense large SBCs operational. We have them operational in Europe, we have them operational in America, and we have them operational in Asia. And that basically means that with the service that we offer, we cover the world for you. And the reason for actually doing that is that if your customer has multiple locations, you can literally take the SIP trunk of, let's say, the office of your customer in London. Let's not say they have an office in London, they have an office in Birmingham, and they have an office in Ryde, Isle of Wight. And with these three offices have three different SIP trunks, and your end customer is still in contract with these telcos, then you would think you don't have the opportunity to move them over to Microsoft Teams. That's not the case. So in this case, we can take those three SIP trunks and you can register those three SIP trunks to a piece of our SBCs. And what we literally do with our service is that we take those three SIP trunks, we take the numbers, and we pair those with the tenant of your customer and with the actual user. And that is the principle how, let's say, Teams direct routing functions. We don't limit you to the UK only. So imagine that this customer which we're talking about also has an office in Amsterdam, has an office in Rome, and has an office in Barcelona. Then we can literally take those 3 SIP trunks as well and register them to the small piece that you are renting from the voice of O365. And the beauty of the beast is that these 6 SIP trunks will now work together in harmony, as we say. If your customer is also located, for example, in the US, then you may also register the US-based SIP trunks, but they are not going to be part of our European solution. They are going to be part of our North American solution. And the reason for doing that is that the round trip time is minimized, as they say. Back to England, back to your end customer. Imagine that he has 3 locations and he wants to add a location in France, and he doesn't want to go for a SIP trunk from Orange. Then of course he can you can invest for him in a Microsoft calling plan. And this calling plan will become part of the tenant of the customer and will then automatically become part of the solution that we have offered. So in essence, it is going to be one big, happy Teams telephony family. There are situations out there whereby your customer might have a Mitel PBX operational. She might have, besides the Mitel, she might have a warehouse where 25 decked subsets are being used. If the customer wants to go hybrid and has decided not to move over to Teams fully because of their CRM package, their ERP package, or the decked phones I just spoke about, we have the ability to still assist that customer. And in that case, we are talking about a SIP user registration. Basically, what we're doing, we're taking the decked user, and the decked user is registered to actually call it a sort of a PBX, which sits in front of our SBCs. And what this does is basically the following thing, that if I call this customer, then his decked phone will actually ring and his Teams client will ring. And this customer can then decide with which device he or she answers the actual phone. When an outbound call is made, and the call is made using Microsoft Teams, we will then send out the DDI of the user in question. In other words, we are then using the DDI of that particular user as designated in their Avaya PBX out there. So this is a beautiful way of actually migrating a customer very slowly over to Microsoft Teams telephony. One thing that we must bear in mind, and that is that the customer still needs a Microsoft Teams phone standard license and needs a license of the voice of O365. So it becomes a little bit expensive, but you will find that customers who want to go hybrid have or do not truly mind that they have to pay a bit more to get them started with Microsoft Teams. If we look at the phone side or the subset side, as I said earlier, if your customer does have or makes use of a headset, Microsoft Teams supports every type of headset that is actually out there. If she wants to use a subset, then that subset needs to be Microsoft Teams certified. And with that, we actually mean that in this subset is certain software embedded, which makes sure that your customer, when using the handset or the subset, has the same experience when using the Microsoft Teams client. On the room system side, as Deb said earlier, the Maverick team of Tech has got a number of wonderful solutions sitting in there that gives your customer the right experience. Back to us and back to the trick of the trade. What you see here is a screenshot of our self-service portal. So if you order and if you work with Tech and with us in terms of Teams phone, and you place a direct routing order, imagine that you as our customer and that your customer are automatically onboarded in our portal. And from our portal, you have the ability to provision Microsoft Teams telephony quickly and easily. There are basically two ways that lead to Roam, and I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. Let me see if I am capable of doing that. Stop sharing. And I'm gonna share again. But now I'm going to the internet. So we are actually helping you when you are deploying Microsoft Teams telephony. We've created what we call wiki pages. And in these wiki pages, we will literally go through all the steps that need to be done in order to come to the right proposition at your customer's end. We have taken the liberty to go to actually give you an option. And the option that you have is that you can choose to actually install Teams phone using a manual method, or you can use what we call an automated method. And the automated method we created literally gives you the ability to install Microsoft Teams telephony with 100% certainty in under 15 minutes, irregardless of the number of users that reside in the tenant. And to be honest, there are in Europe 2 companies who are capable of doing that. One is situated in the Netherlands, that is called the Voice of 0365, and one of them is situated in England, and they are called Call to Teams. And both of these companies, both of us, have created an application that helps you to deploy Microsoft Teams quickly and efficiently. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to connect our application to the tenant of your customer, or you are going to connect that. And once you've done this, we are going to ask you what the footprint is of your customer. Is your customer local, and we call Europe local, or does she have offices in other parts of the world as well? Again, as I said earlier, this option is given because if your end customer does have an office in North America, you don't want to use the SBCs that we have set up in Europe, because there is a risk that we have too much round trip time in answering the call. So here we asked that question. The second question actual third requirement is that the tenant of your customer must have an E1, an E3, an E5, a business premium license available for us to actually use for 15 minutes. So we require let's say we require an E3 license, and this E3 license is actually used to tell the tenant of your customer, or to tell Microsoft that the tenant of your customer is gonna be using Teams phone. I go to the next step. The fourth option is that you need to do some PowerShelling. And the question is, do you want to do the PowerShelling yourself, or do you want us to do the PowerShelling for you? Hence the automated method. So I should go one step back. 1 second. And I say next step. If all goes according to plan, then I have pasted the passwords again here. You can actually see that we are storing the password of this particular Teams tenant in Microsoft Azure Vault, so that we can guarantee that it is not misused in any shape or any form. And as soon as we've done that, we can literally build. And if we want to build, I can choose with which SBC I want to do that. In this case, I have 3 SBCs running. I have 1 running in Europe. I have 1 running in Asia and 1 running in North America. In this case, I'm gonna provision the European SBC. And as soon as I press the button, it will literally perform for you all the steps that are needed in order to get Teams running at your customer site. And as you can actually see, that went very, very quickly. Once we have done this, you as our partner will get the option to either connect a SIP trunk or to connect a PBX to the actual solution. So this is pretty nifty what we're doing here. And to give you a heads up, everything that is listed, I think it is this one. I might be wrong. No, I was looking for my overview, and yeah, here it is. So everything that is actually listed here in the manual method is something that we have done for you completely automated. So that makes it pretty exciting. Back to the PowerPoint slide we were at. Imagine that we've gone through these steps. We have a similar method for connecting a SIP trunk, and that is done in 3 steps and under 3 minutes. And if we go to this tab here, then you actually see that we have to date more than 185 SIP trunk suppliers listed here. I must be honest, because we have a little challenge in the UK. There is 1 SIP trunk supplier we unfortunately cannot work with, and that is Gamma Communications out of London. And that is not because we don't want to, but that is because they do not support the ability that multiple customers make use of 1 IP address, and they want an IP address for every single customer they have out there. And that is not something that we support. As you can imagine, because we deliver the direct routing functionality on a shared basis. So literally, we have mammoth, very large audio codes, SBCs, operational, and you, as our partner, rent a piece of that for your end customer. So that is a little disappointing, but we cannot help that. And that is not because we don't want to. I can promise you, Tech Data as well as SoftApp together. We went to Gamma in London, spoke to them numerous times to see whether we could get this changed. But unfortunately, they can't. When we connect a PBX, or we use the SIP user registration principle, we actually see the same thing. A number of steps you have to fill in order to get this going at your customer level. So in essence, we offer a direct routing service. We offer you the ability to provision Teams telephony, Teams phone with 100% certainty at your customer or in your customer's tenant. There are a number of things we can't do for you, and that was discussed earlier. Microsoft does offer call queues and call menus. Press 1 for, press 2 for, and keep the caller in queue in the order in which the call was received. These type of actions, these two applications are actually they are actually activated using admin rights and are part of the Teams admin side within the tenant of your customer. We are helping you here, so with our wiki pages, we do give you a complete explanation what you need to do here, what the functions are, and of course, if you need help in any shape or form, imagine that Tech Data and SoftApp offer you a professional services SKU, basically meaning that if you want us to be part of the installation, if you want us to look over your shoulder once you're busy with an installation, we are more than willing to help you. What do we cost? What is the investment price? In essence, we have a number of SKUs operational. First of all, you can see that here, that is item number 2 is the Voice of O365 Teams Direct Routing Month. And imagine for the end user price, $355 per user per month, you can offer the direct routing service to your end customer. If you look on the left-hand side, you can actually see that if your customer is more than 100 users, the price drops. If your customer has more than 250 users, the price drops again. All prices are in Great British pounds, and the margin that you receive on these via Tech Data is 20%. It is good to mention that there is a one-time setup fee per user of £9 per user, and that is a one-time fee, and that is not a recurring fee. If you want to do a proof of concepts at customer level, then we have created an SKU, which is called the Voice of O365 Teams Direct Routing, including calling minutes. We offer you 1,600 calling minutes. We offer you the access to a SIP trunk. We can either port a number or give you a new number. And with this particular license, for a price of £8.80 per user per month, your end customer can literally test, evaluate, use Microsoft Teams phone without switching. it is good to actually know that this can 9 times out of 10 always be implemented, even though your end customer is using a cloud PBX or is using an on-premises Avaya, Cisco, or Mitel. So at all times, we can service you there. Now, with this last item, I have come to the end of my presentation. I'm gonna stop presenting. And if there are any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them. If not, then we go on to the next section.
Any questions? Balance is golden. Right, Bridget, over to you on the next section.
Thank you. Thanks, Debs. Thanks, Jerome.
Welcome.
So now I'm going to talk to you about what the partner opportunity is, echoing what Debs presented earlier in some more detail when creating a successful converged communication practice. From a Forrester study, we know that in average, partners surveyed made £40 per user per month on top of Microsoft 365 and now Teams Essentials, by the way, is the new entry SKU. Now, £24 of that comes from teamwork. I'm going to talk about the services around this in a moment, but I wanted to show you just the growth of this part of the practice and how important this is for the total revenue that you can make from each user that you're serving within your customers. So the first question commonly asked for building a practice is, where do I start, obviously? And we have a framework that should help completely simplify this journey for you based on these 3 pillars that you can see. So let's start with defining your strategy. And we've actually broken this down further into 4 sections. The first one being market landscape. You know, what understanding what those trends are and things that are happening in the market right now, like Debs and I were speaking about, and just to take complete advantage of that. I've covered some, but we have a document there as well for more details. Then discover the product vision, understanding that value proposition and how that lands within your own value proposition and how can you bring it into your business. You'll want to evaluate the opportunities across all the different services that are aligned to you. You know, like what can you offer on top of just reselling a license, which I'll come to in a bit, and then identify the key stakeholders. How are you going to bring these into your business? How are you going to take it to market? And who needs to skill up to get there? Adding this value-added service around Teams and our UCaaS solutions has the potential to further increase your profitability and completely differentiate yourself in the market. And as you move up the value chain of services around Teams adoption, meeting, solution and calling services, your practice will become much more profitable. However, meetings and calling services also demands your organisation to obtain specialised capabilities and skill sets that Jerome touched on. So there is need for additional investment. When partners sell teamwork, they are increasingly attaching adoption and change management services. So this is because deploying the technology, we know there's no guarantee of adoption. So adding people-orientated services can help your customers use the technology to work better, so consumption. And attach rates on adoption services range from 20% to about 80%. And the benefit of adoption services goes far beyond the service fee, as active Teams usage has the potential to unblock higher value workloads like calling and meeting, and allows partners to be eligible for Teams usage incentives. So partners are seeing significant growth in meeting and calling service space. Obviously, you've got all the stats there to show as well, your customers. And we're seeing partners with a successful practice offering a variety of solutions. Meeting room solution, device sales, managed services and support are just some of the offerings that you can deliver in the meeting solution area. And in the calling space, obviously telephony, planning, network assessment and remediation, managed calling solutions, your end user support can help add value and revenue to your team's phone solutions. So if you're currently considering yourself just a generalist Microsoft 365 partner reseller, don't consider yourself locked out of the calling and meeting service opportunities. So you have the option to team up with a specialized partner or telco. Telco partner obviously is what you've seen, who you've seen presenting today, to provide those additional third-party services or white label solutions. And we always suggest leading with those SKUs or business premium, but in your sales conversations. But you can see here now that we do have the Teams Essentials entry SKU as are really affordable. It's £3 per user per month as our starting SKU to get customers enabled with Teams, and you can add on Teams Phone. And I just wanted to go into a bit more detail with Teams Essentials versus Zoom, just a very quick comparison. So if we take Zoom Business, which is really popular, £15.99 per user per month, versus Teams Essentials. Teams Essentials plus Microsoft Teams Phone with calling plan. So that gives you the 3,000, so business phone enabled and 3,000 calling minutes. That comes to £14.50 per user per month. Teams Essentials plus the Teams Phone standard license that enables you to be ready for drone services is £9 per user per month. So it's a massive difference. The second step in building out your practice is to develop your capabilities. And for that, we have an assessment that can help point out the skills required to sell and actually deploy and support our UCaaS solutions. So this is all to help you understand where the skills are within your organisations, like Deb was saying, and where the gaps lie. So using that, you can then create a technical plan, a sales plan, all the readiness for your staff to get there, or to refresh what you're doing. If you are doing something already, how can you triple the number of seats that you have already over the next few months, for example. And finally, once trained, you might decide for your staff to get certified and get recognised by your customers. Having that badge is always a really nice touch. So you can check out all the information on how to do that. Debs, how is Tech Data doing this?
There we go. So this is obviously part of our practice builder scenarios. So in addition to taking you through the practice builder, we then work with you more on a one-to-one basis to look at your individual partner journey. And of course, that is unique to you as a partner. And we have Tech Data Academy, who are official Microsoft training partners and can provide Microsoft training courses. And we also, as a Microsoft CSP team, do fund an amount of official Microsoft training courses each Microsoft fiscal half. So things like the MS 700 is a case in point here. That's fully subscribed, I'm afraid, for this half, but hopefully we'll run the same session again next half. But work with us. We ask that partners that are working closely with us generally hear about these things first, and we can ensure that you don't miss out on places. So please work closely with us, please communicate with us, and we'll make sure that you can get access to these types of courses that we run. But there's lots of things available, as well as discounted courses if you miss out on any of the spaces on the free courses. So there's many things that we do to help our partners upskill. And of course, it's worth mentioning that as part of the new Microsoft Cloud Partner Programme, skilling is very heavily weighted. So getting you guys skilled up and therefore getting more points towards your chosen designation is also critical right now.
Great call out. Thank you. So out of those three pillars, the final one is operationalizing your teamwork practice. So you've created your strategy, you've trained your staff. The third step is to operationalize and then take it to market. And for that, we have a guide of resources on go-to-market, and then you can create a plan with a workshop, many of the services that Debs was saying. It can help you with a questionnaire provided to take to your customer through several scenarios, and it can give you lots of information that you need to create that journey for them. And finally, how can you go after that first customer or your first 10 customers? As was mentioned earlier, we definitely recommend starting with a free trial, call it trial as a service, test it. They have full capability for 30 days. I know that Office 365 drone offers a free trial as well for the direct routing option, and completely learn about the process, use it, see how it's going, and then roll it out to the rest of your install base. And from a best practice perspective, let's think about the journey to get there. So in the planning phase, you'll be thinking about KPIs, your targets, targets that you want to hit, but realistic targets, and also realistic but also challenging, so people focus on it and communicate those across your organization. Then activate your reseller network, your partner network, talk to them. They can help you, and explore your customer needs. Do you have any that could be a potential opportunity? I often see partners that have maybe one phone seat, but when you look a bit closer into the customer, they actually have, you know, hundreds of potentials that may want to further increase their phone seats. So it's always good to play around with your data and see and talk and see where the opportunities are. And you're going to move into demand generation because you want to create more, and you can leverage all of our new marketing materials to build your go-to-market strategy, pipeline sales. I'm sure Tech Data has a lot as well. If there's anything specific actually from Microsoft that you think could be better or something's missing, please let Tech Data know, to let me know, and that would be really good insight to get some more assets or to change whatever's needed. From a selling perspective, leading with the free trial and all the tools that we have to assist you, such as the demo tenants that was mentioned earlier, and the offers, any offers that happen throughout, you can really leverage those. And finally, an adoption point of view, making sure that the customer is using the product and knows how to take advantage of it. We also have an interactive guide for building a calling and meetings practice. I won't go into this, but it's there for you to click through at your own time. And we have a serious amount of resources for you to leverage. So this is what I was referring to. If you think anything is missing or something could be changed. So this is from email templates, flyers, pitch decks, and so on. I would actually recommend booking out a bit of time in your diary to go through a lot of this and see where you can really utilise it.
I think this answers the question from the chat. Sorry to interrupt there, Bridget, as well, with regards to the tools and resources, all there. We will obviously share links with you following the sessions as well. So have a look at that. Sorry, Bridget, there is a question in the chat regards for not-for-profit SKUs when it comes to Teams. Are you able to cover that?
I cannot see the chat window at the moment. So what is the question?
Okay. It's a question on not-for-profit SKUs. Gerard, do you want to take yourself off mute and clarify?
Yeah, just we would obviously work with a number of charities, and we have provided obviously not-for-profit SKUs in terms of 365, but I'm thinking specifically around the calling plans. Is there anything there? We use Teams ourselves just direct with Microsoft for our own phone system. And we have 1 or 2 medium-sized businesses in terms of 15 to 20 users that we have put direct teams for voice on quite successfully. So we have a couple of charities where maybe could be up on 100.
Is this NCE?
It's not, NCE isn't charity.
Yes,
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just charity, yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I was going to say the charity SKUs will be NCE at a later time, but there's no specific date on that yet. Sorry, I think my sound cut when you were talking. What is your actual question about charity SKUs?
Yeah, it's just to see whether there was any charity SKUs for the call plans effectively.
They are in the pipeline for future. There's nothing I can say just yet. Something may be announced. Oh, I don't know if everyone has Ignite in the diary, Microsoft Ignite, but there's going to be a whole load of announcements, things that are going to be kept under wraps until next week. So I don't know if something may be announced then, but it is definitely on the cards for the UK. I will be updating devs and the tech data team on any new announcements as soon as I have them.
Okay. And the same for education SKUs. Bridget, am I right in saying that there are teams calling SKUs for faculty, as they call it in the price file?
There is. This is where there's a big crossover with our departments. So education has their own area, but I can take that question offline and get back to you for a direct answer.
Okay.
Well, what about a charity that is also providing education? What way does that work?
Oh, loophole. That is a good question.
They do training for kids with special needs, so it'll be education based, but they're a registered charity, so that's where we get the SKUs.
It depends what license they choose.
Yes, they would have to be recognised as an education customer with Microsoft to get the education pricing, or recognised by Microsoft as a not-for-profit organisation, in which case they would get the not-for-profit pricing. It depends where they sit.
So anything faculty licensing is not me, but I will find out and pass on to Debs.
Yeah, that's fine, and we can share that with you. But yeah, keep the questions coming. This is great.
Yeah.
We're being challenged by partners.
Good. And
fabulous.
Yeah.
Is it over to me now?
Yeah, for the final time, over to you, Debs, from me.
Very good, very good. Excellent. Can you see my screen? Is that working?
Yes, all good.
Wunderbar. Wonderful. So I'm going to take you through a quick case study now. This actually relates to a tech data partner called BizTech. We've been working with these guys for a long time. They are an IT services provider that have specialised in the unified communications and collaboration. But as a result of working with this particular customer, Stride Truglaun, if that's how you pronounce their name, they have also expanded the service proposition to cover things like AVD, EM&S, or Enterprise Mobility and Security, as well as the Microsoft 365 stack with Teams and Teams phone system. And because they have a specialism in that area of UC, or converged communications, as we need to get used to calling it, they're able to go into the customer and really look at them very closely and their business needs. Stride Truglaun had multiple locations with users working in various different areas, needing different kind of functionality. So they were able to go through and make sure that this customer's specific requirements were addressed, that they could replace their existing Link 2013 solution with Microsoft Teams, as well as providing them with that AVD environment, so Azure Virtual Desktop environment that the customer needed. So rather than just going in and finding one piece of it, they actually went in and actually discovered that they could provide a fully comprehensive solution, which also includes the Teams phone system. And this is why we say to partners that are looking to develop out their practices to have a look at where your skills are, look at where your gaps are, and then let's work with you to help you develop your proposition that you can take out to your customers and make sure all of the gaps are filled, whether that's you bringing in extra resource within your own teams to fill those gaps, or utilising Tech Data's services to fill those gaps. We mentioned Maverick earlier with regards to networking, but also, you know, we've got cloud services team as well, who also provide lots of services to partners, especially while you are perhaps upskilling and you need an interim solution. Or if you want to work long term and utilise our services and repackage as your own, that's also absolutely fine. But we work very closely with partners, again, to help you build out that proposition and then help you work out how to fill in the gaps that you might have. So great example there. You'll obviously get a copy of this deck and you can read all the text that's on there and learn about how BizTech in this particular example actually solved their customers' challenges. So moving on to the next step. So I'm afraid that when it comes to building your practice, it's not something that just happens. You have some homework to do. You need to build a strong foundation in which to be able to deliver a stable, resilient and positive outcome for your customers. So you need to look at your strategy for unified communications or converged communications, what that means to you, and then follow the best practice guidance from Microsoft to build out your practice. And as Bridget showed you, there's lots of really useful, helpful content that they've provided to help you do that. And also working with Tech Data and participating in our practice builder sessions is also part of that journey as well, because we can help you really understand how it's going to affect all the areas of your business, from your sales teams, your technical teams, and also your marketing teams as well, whether that's internal marketing or outsourced marketing. Doesn't matter, we'll help them understand what needs to be done. And then you can use what you've learned to really build a successful plan to deliver to your core strategies for UC. So to reiterate, I know I showed this slide a little earlier on, but it's to just reiterate that, you know, we do encourage you to participate across all of the sessions. So thank you very much for coming today and participating in the leadership session. The next session is the sales session on the 19th of October, and we recommend that your sales team leads do attend that session, and then they can take their learnings, report back to you as the business leaders on what they're going to do from a sales perspective, but also disseminate that information amongst their sales team. Same from a technical perspective, technical leaders attend in person. You've got two course options, one north, one south, north being on the 17th of November and the south being on the 15th of November. These ones are in person because there's lots of hands-on stuff that they'll need to learn, and they'll be with our solutions architects who will take them through exactly how to configure their team's environment. And then back to virtual with the marketing sessions, and you can choose from 3 different sessions, one being more sort of foundational, a beginner kind of session, the next session being intermediate, or if you've got a really strong marketing team and you want to go into a more of a deeper dive into marketing, then they've got the advanced session. Of course, you're welcome to attend all 3 if you feel that's beneficial to you, but we encourage you to attend at least one of those. And again, that obviously should be your go-to-market lead in your organisation. Please reach out to us. We are absolutely here to support. I'm here to support, more than happy to jump on calls with you. I know that Bridget and Jérôme are very happy to support as well. So, please reach out to us and work with us, because we want to help you be really successful with your converged communications practice. Thank you, Microsoft, for renaming stuff. Wonderful. Any questions for anybody? If you want to take yourselves off mute, we are here to answer your questions.
Hi there, it's Steve Mason. It's just a quick one. We have quite a large base of both hosted and traditional telephony clients, and know where a lot more systems are. I've been in the marketplace. I've been in the market for nearly 40 years now, and the business has been going for 20. So we were originally based on telephony. There are some concerns that I have around really understanding how we might replace some of the legacy features and applications that the customers get used to. So particularly things like group working, call routing for inbound calls, etc., day, night service, etc. Have you come across these, and have you built anything that says that might be in the sales or the marketing plan to sort of counteract some of the arguments that we might face and objections we might face?
Sure. So there are things that have been mentioned like call recording, and this is the gap in our portfolio, but there are solutions out there. So eventually I'm sure that we as Tech Data will take on a call recording solution if Microsoft don't make that a standard feature, Bridget, in the future. Obviously meeting recordings is native, but call recordings is something separate.
Yeah, we do have call recording, but if it's compliant call recording, then that is a third-party requirement.
Yeah. Yes.
We do a lot of work with call centers, and it's probably just that it's not been mentioned yet. But there's a lot more sophistication that in terms of the real time and management and reporting, and I'm not seeing that yet. And that's getting more complex now with the concept of contact rather than just call centers. So different types of media that they're measuring as well, in terms of email, chats, etc.
Microsoft do have a long list of contact center partners that are available, that I'm sure if you wanted to bring in Jerome and the team would be able to work with you, but it would be unless anything changes in the foreseeable future, it would be that additional third party to complete that go-to-market requirement.
Stephen, what I would like to offer you is that you and I have an hour together. I've been in the telecoms industry for more than 25 years. I would love to discuss with you the difference in terms of the traditional PBXs in comparison to Microsoft Teams. And I would also be willing to show you that Teams is further afield from a telephony side than many think. And so if I can help you there, we can touch on recording, on compliance recording. As Bridget just said, we can go through the list of Microsoft with all the native to Teams eco vendors which are sitting in there. We can talk about Power Apps and integrating those with the CRM package of the end customer. So if I can help you there, or we can help you there, I'd be most willing to do that.
Oh, thank you. And that might be very helpful. It's probably best for us to go through the technical side first. And perhaps the marketing to actually, because that will probably answer some of the questions or might even raise some more for us to discuss with you. But I just want to be sure that when I go and sit in front of a customer, because I do the selling as well as Joe, is to make sure technically I'm fully competent. And if there's an objection coming our way, I can handle it in a way that means the customer's going to be happy.
And that's why we have the practice builder journey, so that, you know, when you get to the technical session as well, that's very much hands-on with our solutions architects, and Jérôme and his team are also supporting that session as well. So you'll learn a lot about all the capabilities of Microsoft Teams and Teams Phone, and you know, you'll have access to those architects in person to be able to discuss specific opportunities perhaps, or specific concerns that you might have, so that they can help address that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, it's Matthew Bater from CSG. One of the questions we keep on having across some of the customers we manage would be around, we would class that as organizational call recording, so non-compliance, you know, PCI compliant and so on, or if they've got any FSA type of requirements for their specific industry, just for organizational call recording. Is that actually, because the resources on that we found are quite sparse, is that actually built into Teams voice in the background, or is it only the option of having third-party integration partners?
So, great question. Microsoft offers the PSTN call recording.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're referring to, as in not just call recording that doesn't need to be compliant, say it's for finance or anything
That's correct,
specific.
Yeah.
That does come with the phone SKUs.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Thanks for that.
I've learned something today. I thought that was only third party, but that's good. So, see, this is what's happening in the Microsoft world, is that there's been a significant amount of investment in Teams over the last 2.5 years, because that was driven by COVID, and that investment is just increasing. And as Bridget showed you, there's even more interesting things coming to Teams over the coming year. So, you know, we can absolutely take you through this. We've got the specialist, we've got a UC specialist in the tech data team who will be running the technical session, and we're supported as well, obviously, by Microsoft and Jerome, again, specialist in the UC space.
That is not me, but that is some engineers, eh? One of my
From the technical perspective,
sorry.
yes. Your team, Jerome.
Thank you.
Yeah.